All right. Thank you all for coming to the February 2022 school board meeting. If you'd like to join me in a short word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for our time together this evening. Thank you for those people who help make our meetings possible. We are grateful for our teachers, staff, and students who continue to work hard every day. Be with us this evening and help us to be patient and kind as we are hopefully coming out of this long battle of the pandemic. Watch over us and help us to get home safely this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, and we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with our recognitions. The first one is individual student growth. Mrs. Moreland? Dr. Moreland? Sorry.
Yes. Whoa. We have one student to recognize this evening. Not sure if Alexis Lynch is with us. I don't see her. But so everyone knows, Alexa is our January Central 9 Student of the Month, and she's in their culinary arts program. So if you see Alexis, please congratulate her. That's fantastic. We love to celebrate our C9 students every month. So congratulations, Alexis.
And then collaboration.
Hang on, we're finding out.
We're on hold.
He thought it was 7. He'll be there. He's on his way. The mayor sends his regards.
Okay. Shall we move on then and then just come back to when he gets here?
That'd be fine.
Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. The first on there is, are there any public comments over anything on the consent agenda? No. Okay, great. Do we have any questions or comments from anybody on the board? No?
I have a couple. One, I'm going to highlight Mrs. Cindy Mappus. Cindy is retiring at the end of the school year, and we want to thank her for her service. She started off as a principal at Union Elementary and then went over to CBIS for the last several months. In addition, I'm also pleased to recommend Mrs. Tammy Schneider for the assistant principal position at CBIS. Tammy has been with us as a school counselor. Before that, she was an elementary teacher at 3rd grade. She spent some time out of state, and she's up on the north side of Indy. She's kind of been everywhere, but we're really pleased to have her join the administrative team at CBIS, and then we will be posting her position ASAP for a school counselor spot at CBIS. So if anybody knows a school counselor that wants to come join our team, we'd love to have them. So we'd like to recommend Tammy for that position.
Well, and then just additionally on the personnel side, on a sadder note, we had a couple of our longtime employees pass away. Ronald Eads, who worked at the high school?
High school in the dish room?
Yes. And then Sylvia Wheat, who, if anyone had a kindergartner go through Northwood, they had Mrs. Wheat as an assistant. She's been there forever and ever and just a sweet lady. So if you'll just keep those families in your thoughts and prayers, that would be great. So on that note, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Wertz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Ryan, okay. Motion passes. All right, so we'll move on to the superintendent reports. Do we have any public comment? Okay, Robin says no public comment. So the first is the athletic department. Has a superintendent report.
First speaker really needs no introduction, but I will go ahead and introduce
Yeah.
him, and he'll introduce the rest of the team.
Yeah.
We have with us the athletic director for our school corporation. He's probably a little bit on cloud 9. Our girls are in the Final Four. We're taking on another mid-state champion, Mooresville, but we need to not be too confident because we beat them in the first round, but they upset 2 really good teams to get to play us. So without further ado, Mr. Doty's here to talk about baseball.
Yeah, and the spring season is almost here, which we are excited about as well. For multiple reasons. One, just to get outside. I'm going to introduce our coach here in just a second. Coach Fireman, our varsity head coach, will come up and share a few things with you about this agenda item. And then also Mr. Kyle Netter is here as well to represent the Booster Club and Grizzly Baseball Club. So those two gentlemen I'm going to call up here in just a second, but I'm going to give you some perspective on
Yep.
Now it
Yes,
is. Now you
thank
need.
you.
Okay, at that time, there was an alternate bid that was not accepted, obviously. But there was an alternate bid, there was plan drawings for that, for a computing facility in this same location. Those plans were drawn up by the architect and engineer and all part of that project. This is quite a bit different. This building is not, say, elaborate, as elaborate. It's just a straight kind of building. The one that was proposed in the alternate bid at the time looked more like the football locker room, the outdoor locker room facility. It had that style to it. This is just what you would imagine as what the track bar and storage facility is there next to the track, adjacent to the track. That would be the look of it. And so that's what this proposal is about. So that gives you perspective on what it looks like, the size of it, the location. At that time, the location, this is the location where the site had already created the building pad. There are utilities there, water, sanitary, and electric. According to the blueprints, they're all stuck there. And this is a flat area for that facility. There's really no other area out there next to the baseball and softball diamonds. If you've been out there recently or in the past few years, you know there's a lot of hillsides and drainage areas that kind of take up that area behind the baseball field. So that's really where the building was meant to be placed. So that's what you see in this document. I will tell you, when we left this facility in 2007, went to the new high school, obviously major improvements all the way around, but there's one thing that probably did miss the mark a little bit, is it is the baseball program here, and the softball program did have an indoor hitting facility at their disposal down at this building, this site for that program. So now the program, 15 years later, I think at the time when it got cut, I think the thought was, you know what, the Booster Club came up with the money, they came up with the funding, and they were able to get the building built through all hands on deck, if you will, and the generosity of Dr. Jim Hunter, which is obviously appropriate for being on the field house out here. But it was also built with all of the dads, all of the sponsors and people just pitched in and actually built the building itself. I'm not sure that we have that capability to build this kind of building. It's a steel building, so we would definitely need to contract it out. However, when it comes time for heating and air conditioning, plumbing, maybe concrete work, electrical work, I think we would be able to call on some of our local people, maybe some dads in the program would want to pitch in. So I'm going to let Kyle talk a little bit about that from the financial piece. So I think back then at the time, they thought the Booster Club did it once, hey, we could do it again. Well, 15 years later, the idea is back around. And that's why we want to come forward tonight. And just to bring this idea back up, that the Booster Club and the baseball program has, and we want to see if we can get this thing done. So with that, that's perspective. With that, I want to turn it over to Coach Byron, talk about the need a little bit and the challenges he faces by not having a good facility on his side for his question.
First of all, thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate it. My name is Ryan Byron. I've been baseball coach here at Franklin Community High School. This is year 12 overall, and 9th season as head coach. We'll address a few things. And honestly, one of the biggest issues in the spring for us, not necessarily our opponent always, or maybe what we're doing, it's Mother Nature. The weather is sometimes unforgiving at times, and when that weather sets in, that's when we kind of have to. I joke with Bill, in my speed for time, I'm going to get my right on my knee in the spring season. Sometimes we spend more time watching the rain and figuring out what we can do today, obviously, so when that weather sets
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kyle Leonard. I am the president of the I decided a few years back and started talking to the lady in Church Fire about it, and we saw this come to fruition last year where we created the board. We've been in existence for 1 year now. We raised $25,000 in the first year. We did that through events, apparel, sales, which is multi, and we didn't know about it. So we had tables, tents, and some stuff, things. I'm a passionate baseball fan, and I'm a parent of 3 kids in the company program. I have 2 high schoolers and CBIS and this facility means a lot to all students. And just a couple quick things, I won't take too much time. Our goal for the Grizzly Baseball Club is to enhance the overall experience for players, coaches, fans, and everyone from Little League, T-ball, level up that participate in baseball. That's our goal. Our mission is to raise funds and expand the baseball program to support our athletes, coaches, and the administration in order to allow Franklin athletes to do some athletic potential. And really, I would do anything to achieve this goal for them. And student athletes conservative. I'd like to see it play second field to Whiteman, to Center Grove, Mooresville. And we see these facilities going up all over. And so that's why I'm here tonight. I want to fight for them to get what they deserve. Some of the things that I've done in preparation for this, I talked to the Senior Vice President of Construction at the Wilburn. Franklin, he's a Franklin parent, and he's got kids in the program, not just baseball, but in the golf program. And so I talked to him, and he's who helped us with these drawings. And so I think that he gave us a really good idea of what could be out there.
Okay. I also spoke with Adrian Rose, Director of Planning at Wabash College, who's recently done a facility like this. We have a follow-up meeting in about 10 days to talk about recommendations for financing and planning and things like that. And then finally, I talked to Loring Sternberg and Associates. It's a consulting firm that helps nonprofits. They recently built a $2 million facility with TheraPlay, which is strictly nonprofit. They help raise the funds. And so I have a follow-up call with them at 3 o'clock tomorrow to talk about how we find funds and raise money for a facility such as this. So, I mean, you know, the quotes that we have anywhere from 750 to 1.2 million. I think that the Booster Club, we have 8 members on our board and 4 at large. I think we can do a fair amount of raising that money. However, if we did get stuck at a point, I would love to be able to come back to the board and see what opportunities there are to help finish that project and give these students, student athletes, what they need and deserve. So, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those now, or I can.
I have 2. I'm not sure who they're for. Would softball benefit from this too?
Absolutely.
This same, they get all the access you get?
Yeah.
Same thing. And then this is like a broader issue, but I think we got to be really aggressive in trying to get corporate sponsorships for this stuff.
Sure.
Especially right now with, you know, all the buzz about baseball. There's money everywhere, you know? And if you go to these other schools that you've named, it's the whoever, you know, building, right? And their name's on it, and they wrote the check. And we've got big businesses around here, and I think we just need to just be as super aggressive on that and get all the cash we can from outside. And then, you know, we're here maybe at the end, but there's a lot of rich people around that is not the school board, right? Who can write checks.
I thought it was gonna be
Absolutely, and that-
Ryan Wagner.
No, and I'm broke as they come.
Because Ag is coming up next.
I know. They're next on my list.
We'd love to put your name on the side of the building.
Well, you can put my name down there if you want. I'm not going to say no. I'm just saying getting on my cash. But I think we should just, as a corporation, we should just be very, very strategic in that. So maybe raise that on your call tomorrow and see kind of their reaction. And then, anyways,
Yep.
thank you. This was great.
Yeah, absolutely. To that end, I've talked to 3 or 4 council members, town council members, and already started the process of seeking corporations to help fund it. So,
I can give one piece of advice. You said baseball about 100 times. I didn't hear softball.
Right.
I know you said that, but when you frame it from here on out, I'd appreciate it, all of you guys, if you talk about baseball and softball.
absolutely. And I've spoken actually with the softball coach. I spoke with Ted Bishop today.
That's all,
the
I'm
golf-
just giving you the
Yep,
feedback.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no.
Thank you.
And you said golf is going to use it too?
So I talked to Ted Bishop. He said in the future they may need a facility. They do currently have an indoor facility of their own at the Legends right now with Ted as the coach. But in the future, they could have a need for it.
Yeah, I think selling it as the 3-sport space will get you a lot farther probably than focusing on one.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Yep, thank you.
Also, one quick reminder for everybody, for both Ags coming up as well as the softball, baseball opportunity. On the sponsorship side, once you get your list, you still need to make sure you come to the board and kind of sign off on sponsorships. That's one of the things in the future as we look to grab and capture more corporate. The board still has to make sure it goes through that. So as you get dollars and talk to that, just have Bill or one of you come back and present. The same with Mrs. Geesey and Mr. Bada. You guys will just come back and present all of the sponsors. And then once the board says yes, then you just move forward. Just as a...
Yeah, so don't commit until we say yes.
Right.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
Thank you,
everybody.
that was great.
Thank you, appreciate it, thank you so much.
I saw the mayor
Oh,
walk in.
He's
Mr.
here.
Doty, Mr. Doty.
Yes.
I believe, or Mr. Coach Fireman.
Yes.
You are on for this season for a new venture, is that correct?
Yes. Is it okay to bring
Yes,
that
I
up
mean,
for
you
Victory
talked
Field?
about-
I know
yes.
it's on an action item. And along those lines, we understand that tonight for the hitting facility is not an action item, but we do appreciate your vote of confidence in this.
No doubt.
It really means a lot to us. The action item that's on the board agenda is for us to, our team has been invited to play at Victory Field this year. So one of our home games would be with Franklin Central. That game is now, could be played at Victory Field on April 29th, I believe is the date. Is that correct?
That's cool.
Yes, April 29th, we would play at Victory Field, but there needs to be an agreement, just like with everything else you can imagine when you go to a place like that. From a facility usage standpoint, you see that agreement in there as well. I don't know that I remember any indemnification language in it, so it may be fairly easy for the board to review and say yes to. So I'm seeking approval for that tonight if you want to go ahead and get that off the docket.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
We'll do that with action.
During
items.
the action
Yeah,
items,
okay.
yes.
But I did see the mayor's here.
Okay.
So for the collaboration on the
Yeah, that'd be great.
recognitions, please, we'll just jump back.
Okay, good evening, I guess it is. Apologize for being a couple minutes late, but when I leave the office at 5, the gals kind of leave me on my own, and you see how that works, so I was a little bit late. But anyway, I just want to say that the City of Franklin really appreciates the collaboration that we've had with the school board. I know I was, being on the city council for 8.5 years prior to being the mayor, and I know that former Mayor McGinnis got us all working together as one team, and we've carried that on, and I really appreciate it. And I want to say that I'm proud of the relationship that I've been able to build with Dr. Clendening over the years. And I don't know if you folks know, but we meet with the college and the hospital and talk about our own entities, how we can make our city better, and how we can work together to make life better for all of us. And I know David and I talk on the phone once a week probably, and have lunch once a month, and do our other meetings. So I've learned a lot from Dave, and I don't know if he's learned much from me, but anyway, it's been a good collaboration, and I thought it was only fitting that that congratulations on the Superintendent of the Year award. I think it was only appropriate that we make a Dave Clendening today, or a day, and today is that day. So if you don't mind, I'm going to have Dave come down and present this. Maybe I can get Mayor of the Year someday, right? I doubt that, but we do have You know, the school, one thing I don't know if the public knows, that another way that we helped each other are school resource officers. The city helps the school with that, and then the school in return helps us with our IT department. So that's a way we collaborate and saves us both money. So, Dr. Clendening, put my glasses on, a proclamation in recognition of Dr. David Clendening, Indiana Superintendent of the Year for 2022. Whereas since 2009, Dr. Clendening has served Franklin Community Schools as a steadfast and visionary leader, and whereas through collaboration within the community, Dr. Clendening has introduced unique student opportunities to FCS students, such as elementary students participating as auxiliary members in Rotary International, and whereas through his commitment is being student-centered and innovative, Dr. Clendening has provided rich experience to FCS students, such as the 10X Games, projected Lead the Way, and international travel, and whereas through Six Sigma strategies, Dr. Clendening navigated through financial hardships to create effectiveness and create opportunities for individual student growth. Now, therefore, I, Steve D. Barnett, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Franklin, Johnson County, Indiana, do hereby proclaim Monday, February 14th, 2022 as FCS Superintendent Dr. David Clendening Day. The city of Franklin honors Dr. Clendening for his leadership, his service to education, and his dedication to community collaboration. In witness whereof, I hereunto my signature and cause the corporate seal of the municipality to be fixed this 14th day of February 2022. Steve Barnett, Mayor, City of Franklin.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. It's quite an honor, and it really reflects the community. Yes, I get to be superintendent, and yes, I get to stand up, but there are a lot of things that happen that both I get accolades, and also I get a few people not to think that we're doing great things. But with that, I'll just say thank you. This week, I go down to Nashville and represent Indiana in the celebration for all 50 superintendents, but it really is an honor to serve this district, and I want to thank the mayor for that proclamation. It means a lot to me, so thank you.
Okay, we will move on with the superintendent reports. The next thing would be the FCHS Ag Department update with Mrs. Geesey and Mr. Bada, I think. So if you want to step forward.
Do you guys have the bullet pointed document? Otherwise, I printed it if you guys want to.
Can I have one?
Yes, to follow along with me. I'm going to go pretty fast because I know I'm on limited time, but I am long-winded.
Thank you.
Right, we're working on it. We all have skills we're working on. All right, I just want to thank you guys so much for letting us come today. I'm Alicia Geesey. I'm one of the agriculture teachers here. Dan Bad is also here. He's the other ag teacher and FFA advisor at Franklin. We are here today to talk a little bit about a proposal we have been working on and thinking about here at Franklin. One of Dan and my goals when we first started here was to really develop the hands-on opportunities for our students. One of my favorite things about agriculture, I grew up on a farm. Oh, my mic is relieving me. I grew up on a farm, and what made me fall in love with ag was the hands-on aspects. Growing your plants, watching them grow, I just love it so much, and it really makes you appreciate your food supply. It makes you appreciate the nature around you, having those hands-on opportunities. And Franklin, you guys have such a great facility for that, so it's been kind of a great, when I started here, I really fell in love with the potential of our facilities. What you guys are looking at right here is a picture of like an aerial view of our current facilities. At the bottom there is an arrow pointing to our greenhouse and kind of our agriculture department. And then the 9-acre land lab, which you guys have let us farm for the last 3 years, is pointed to at the top up there. Just to kind of quickly go through what has happened over the last 3 years. In 2019, we came to you and asked if we could farm and garden, and you guys said yes. So we planted our first garden in 2019. We were a small but mighty crew, and then we ended up donating a little over 400 to 500 pounds of produce to the Cub Pantry, to the Interchurch Food Pantry. That first year, our first couple of years have just been about donating all of our produce to those in need. In 2019, I also applied and we received a $2,500 grant from National FFA for our garden. So everything that you can see that we've been working on has been stuff that was purchased for by the grant and or donated by our wonderful community members. In 2020, we also received a $5,000 Johnson County REMC grant. That grant has been utilized over the last year. Well, we got it in 2020, which was a terrible year for our garden. But we were able to do some things in 2020, even with all of the terrible things happening. We raised our first batch of meat chickens in 2020, and we actually donated a little over, how many pounds of chickens did we end up with? We had about 70 chickens that we were able to donate to the Franklin High School cafeteria, and we ate wonderful chicken noodle soup one day, and I was so excited when I went into the cafeteria and saw it. So that was purchased and paid for by the Johnson County REMC grant, and our students had helped kind of raise those chickens, build the chicken tractors, and take care of those chickens. We also put in some berries and some fruit trees we did those last fall with the Johnson County REMC grant. And then in 2021, we were very excited to receive a $72,497 grant from the USDA. A parent and part of our alumni helped me write that grant, and we received that from the USDA. That grant we're going to hopefully use to kind of further our farm to school activities, farm to cafeteria, getting the food that we can grow and that our community members can grow into our cafeterias for our kids. That's the major goal of that grant. And then in 2021, we came back to you guys and we asked if we could potentially move forward with a vision of putting up a facility on our 9-acre land lab. And you guys said, you guys go to it and go see what you can figure out. So we did. And with the help of Jeff Sewell and Misha from Lancer and Beebe, he's an architect, we did go through and come up with a few plans for our facility. Move forward. Yeah, okay, so this was part of our inspiration, this facility here. This is from Windsor, Virginia. It's a facility down there, which is becoming a nationally renowned agricultural facility at a high school in Virginia. It's really amazing. Dan and I had an opportunity to talk to the educational manager there, and it's really amazing what they're able to accomplish at that school. But this was kind of our inspiration. And then we had gone through a few drafts, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the drafts, but starting in about August of 2021 until now, myself, Dan, our alumni, Jeff Sewell, and the architect have worked through, and Christy, have worked.
Wow. Fatal error.
I'll leave that. We worked through a few different designs and kind of worked through issues and problems that there might arise. We've taken it to different stakeholders, and we have worked through some of these different drafts. We have landed on a draft that we feel like would be a really good design, which you guys can see. We'll go forward here just a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time. We'll keep going a little bit. This was another draft we did in December, and then we've got one more draft. If you want to skip forward. Here's our current design. So this current design would have potentially 2 buildings, which feels like a lot. I know we started with just 1, but the idea behind the 2 buildings is that we would be having livestock animals in one building, and then the other building, one thing we found when we were harvesting all of our vegetables was that we would harvest like 200 pounds of tomatoes one day, and then we didn't really have anywhere to go with them, and so we didn't have any way to like sanitize and wash and store them in coolers, so a lot of them would end up rotting and we'd have to just throw them out before we could get them to the food pantry. So one of the ideas behind this facility is that part of one of those buildings would actually be a vegetable area, like cleaning and sanitizing and storage area for one of those would be, part of that building would serve that purpose, which we feel like could really allow a lot of those vegetables to make it to our cafeterias, to make it to our food pantries, and then also meet a lot of the requirements, so it's just like sanitizing the vegetables and cooling them and things like that. The other part of the classroom building, which is what we call it, if you guys are looking through here, this would be on page 2 when we talk about the buildings. The classroom building is the one on the left there, and that building on one end would have the vegetable processing, which would be on that one end up there. We'd have a restroom, we'd have walk-in coolers, things like that. And then in the other end, we've got a potential for a classroom, which would be, the idea behind this classroom, it wasn't in our original plans, but as we talked through the purpose of this facility, it just felt like the right thing to do if we're gonna put up an educational facility, because our main purpose is education. Production is just kind of like one of those awesome perks of education, of agricultural education. The idea behind this facility is, and as we go forward a little bit, you'll see some other pictures too, but I've had veterinarians come out. We do have animals on site right now. And I have veterinarians that come out and do procedures on our animals, and the kids love it, and it's amazing, and they get to watch animals go under anesthesia, they get to watch procedures, they get to talk to the veterinarians. But one thing that I struggle with at our current location, so here you can see our one of the veterinarians at Hillview working on this calf here. She's castrating him, which my high school teachers love it when I talk about that. I send out an email, they love it. But anyways, one downside that we have found to this setup is that usually the students can't all hear the vet, and it's also, so when it's outside, there's just a lot of outdoor noise, there's a lot of space where the students can't always hear what's happening and they can't always see what's happening. So it's usually, like, this is such an awesome opportunity for our students, but usually only a handful actually get in there and really get to see it. Our indoor facility where we do keep livestock inside is also very small, so it would only accommodate maybe 10 students to actively participate in these procedures. The idea behind the classroom is that we would actually be able to bring animals into that classroom facility and have procedures on live animals, such as castration, such as surgery, such as artificial insemination, whatever it is that we're working on. And the kids could all actively participate and see and hear and be involved and engaged in those opportunities. So that's kind of the background of why we decided to do potentially a classroom out there. The other reason that we wanted to separate those two buildings is for sanitation. So we don't have livestock and vegetable sanitation in the same facility. So we have them in two separate buildings. So that's kind of the background on why we chose the facility, the buildings that we've got for you to look over are there. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to let my two students here, they're just going to talk real quick, is that I have gone through all of the IDOE state standards, and this facility alone, just the hands-on opportunities that this facility could meet is immense. So almost for all of our classes, it meets at least 1/4, if not over half, of all of the Indiana state standards that are required for my courses. Just having that hands-on opportunity for my students in a facility such as this. Now I have two of my FFA members here that just wanted to talk really quick about the hands-on opportunity. They're just going to talk real quick. And then I'm just going to end it real quick with the money talk, which is no fun at all.
Hi, I'm Tate Elmore, and I'm a sophomore here at Franklin. This is my second year in agriculture and FFA. FFA has taught me so much, such as my leadership abilities and my ability to connect with others. I feel like this addition to our ag program will be really good at getting younger kids integrated into agriculture sooner. My SAE, or Supervised Agriculture Experience, currently involves me showing cattle for my agriculture teacher. In order to do this, I have to travel to my ag teacher's farm whenever I need to work or help with my steers. This facility will really help students like myself expand our SAEs when we don't live on the farm ourselves.
Great job.
Hi, my name is Norman Tuhalski, and I'm also a sophomore at Franklin FFA, or at Franklin. And this is my second year taking ag and FFA and being in FFA. I really enjoy competing in the speaking aspect of FFA. Tank and I both are on the soils team that is going to nationals in May. Myself and another FFA member are currently working on completing our own feed trial for FFA demonstration, and with my own lambs at my own farm, so this building would help us be able to do it at the school and during the school day, kind of, like during class instead of having to do it on our own time. I learn best in hands-on opportunities, so FFA helps me with that in agriculture, which is why I love all of this. And this development in our facility will really enhance the potential for hands-on learning in FFA in Franklin Community High School for all students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job.
All right. So I really enjoy working with the kids and seeing them kind of develop their skills, which is like one of the best parts of my job. It's one of my best parts. So to go through, if you guys are on page 3, we'll kind of go through page 3 really quickly. But as far as like the money aspect of all of it, the architect has come to us with a few numbers that are looking upwards of $1.5 million, which was a big shock to me. But we do have an alumni organization, kind of like a booster group, that is awesome. I mean, we really wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for our alumni group. They have been so supportive and really a driver of all of this. And we have already met a couple times about fundraising opportunities, going to corporate agricultural organizations here in Indiana. There's a lot of agricultural organizations, big ones that are based here in Indiana, like Red Gold and Pop Weaver and Elanco are all based here, and they love supporting opportunities like this. So we feel strongly that we could access a lot of those financial opportunities with our fundraising efforts, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then we did talk a little bit about the sustainability aspect and the potential steps. So because it was a much bigger number than we had originally anticipated, one thing that we had potentially talked about doing, if you guys turn to page 6, step 8, possible steps. So instead of trying to do all of this in one big leap, jumping in with both feet and hoping you don't drown, we are really hoping to do this in a very sustainable way. So we had thrown out the idea of doing it in like a stages program. We've kind of done this whole process in stages. When we came to you in 2019, we came to you with stages, and we try to meet those benchmarks every time we come meet with you guys. We hope we're doing a good job. So if you look at the number 8 on page 6, it kind of goes through the 4 stages that we have potentially thought about how this might work. Stage 1 would happen this year. It would happen with the current staff that we have, which would be Dan and myself. Our goal this year would be to expand the production and marketing. My goal this summer, really my personal goal, is to go to some marketing seminars and really learn about marketing local foods. It's not something I've done personally before, so it's something I'm going to hopefully develop my own skills in. We want to expand the production. We want to market our pasture chickens. We did get that $72,000 USDA grant, which can't go for any like brick and mortar, but in the grant, we've written in a lot of things that we could put in now, that we could do things like a hoop house, where we could expand our production into the fall when it's a little cool outside, we could still be producing. That's something we'd really like to do this year. We'd also like to look into accessing potential utilities on that site as well for our hoop house. And then begin our fundraising campaign publicly is something we'd like to potentially do in our step 1. The other thing we're doing, you guys kind of saw it flash up on the screen there, was our summer camp this summer. This is the first where we've really reached out to the community as far as doing a different type of learning opportunity for people other than Franklin community students necessarily. So this summer we'll be doing a summer camp for ages 8 through 12 all over Johnson County. So they don't have to be Franklin community students. They could be anybody. And our goal for that is to just enhance my high school students' experiences and grow their leadership skills, and then also share the love of agriculture with the younger generation. That's our hope. Stage 2 would be something that we would potentially see happen next year, depending on how awesome our fundraising efforts go. And I'm a very positive person, so I feel confident that we're going to get all of it, okay? Depending on how that goes, we would start construction potentially next year in our Stage 2 of all, or even part. So maybe we don't build the whole facility at once. We break it up into stages, build one building and then build the other building. So there's a potential for breaking that process up so it's not such a big financial draw all at once. One thing that Dan and I have talked about a lot, and as we've talked to other facilities that do this type of thing, the idea of having like a part-time, potentially full-time educational manager on that facility is something that we feel strongly would really help the sustainability of the project. Right now, Dan and I do it ourselves, which we love. We do it with the help of our alumni. Our alumni is great, but we find ourselves very maybe like spread thin a little sometimes. So to maintain sustainability long-term, having somebody out there that can really manage the day-to-day activities and that could also enhance the opportunities for other teachers in the building. It's a lot of work for a teacher to kind of go outside of their curriculum and decide they want to do a research project out on the land lab, but that's what we want to see. We want to see our science teachers out there utilizing the land lab. We want to see our engineering students out there utilizing the land lab, and we would love to see our art students out there utilizing the land lab. However, that does take some management of the facility to make those educational experiences happen, and so that would be the role of like what we would call like an educational manager, not necessarily a teacher, but somebody that could manage those opportunities for the teachers. So we would potentially see maybe a part-time position happening in Stage 2. We would also like to increase our confidence in our self-sustainability. At this point, we really aren't sure what that would look like. In our notes, if you look back towards what potentially it could be, we could potentially make it completely 100% self-sustainable. We could be very profitable. There are farms in Indiana that are completely self-sustainable on 4 acres. We have 9 acres, so it's very possible. But it's farming, it's agriculture, and you just never know, you know? So we would like to, in Stage 2, really develop our confidence and build our confidence in the sustainability of our program. And then in Stage 3 and Stage 4, our goals would be, that would be in like 2024 through 2027. Our goals would be to complete construction and then to move towards hiring a full-time educational manager on that facility to really maintain that sustainability. As ag teachers change, that facility would maintain its boost and its gumption, and it would keep on trucking along. So I think that's, I did have a couple questions I wanted to just pose to the board today. I didn't put them on my thing. I just wanted to pose them to you guys. So some things that Dan and I would like for you guys to consider as we leave you today. One is, we want to know from you guys how realistic, like genuinely how realistic do you feel the scope of this program is, both educationally and financially? One thing that Dan and I have talked at length about is we feel very passionate about this project, but we definitely don't want to continue moving forward if the board doesn't feel passionate about it, which you will not hurt our feelings, maybe a little, but you won't hurt my feelings that much. You know? No, but I genuinely want honesty from the board, from the school corporation, if this is something you very genuinely, realistically feel like could be something you could see Franklin Community Schools having for a long time. Because I would love to, when I do leave this position, I want this to continue. I don't want it to be something that leaves with me. So that's my first question that I would like to pose to you guys. My second question would be, as you ponder whether this is something you would approve or not, could you realistically see hiring a full-time educational manager on that facility within the next 5 years if we meet those benchmarks, if the school continues to grow, if the student population continues to grow? What would be, is that something you realistically could see happening? Because I think if you don't realistically see that happening, then we would have to cut back our scope a little bit so that we don't bite off more than we can chew. And then the very third question is a little more straightforward. Could we begin our fundraising campaign this year? So those are the 3 questions. I mean, unless you guys want to be like, yes, please, go ahead. But you can totally wait and tell us. But those are the 3 questions that the Ag Department kind of poses to the board today.
So on number 1, the question back is, what do you think realistically you can raise before asking the board for money?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I'm an optimistic person, right?
So you're thinking, you got 1.5, you got
I
it figured
got
out?
1.5. I mean, we're gonna go over, and then we're gonna have a party, and it's gonna be
I
great.
see.
No, I don't know. Dan, I'm gonna have you come up, and you can help with some of the, but he's more down to earth.
Yeah, I don't do numbers either, so.
I'm up here.
Yeah, me too. I'm feelings, not figures.
I'm downright skeptical. You know, I've been, you know, I'm old enough, I've been seen through some of this stuff before, but, you know, I put on the document $400,000 to $100,000, and I realize that's a wide range, and we really.
How much do you think we could raise fundraising?
Oh, fundraising, I'm sorry. I have no idea, really.
What do the kids think? What can you guys raise? And you're on record.
That's not fair to them.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot
There
right
have
now.
been some facilities in Indiana that have raised an enormous amount of money. In the last part of this packet that you guys have, there are a couple of letters of recommendation from Paoli School Corporation down south.
Yeah.
They've put up an enormous facility that they got 100% fundraised and paid for, and they used a lot of local monies. They also used a lot of these corporations, agriculture corporations, that are kind of looking for places to donate. We have not reached out to organizations yet because we wanted to hear from you guys first. So we're not sure what those numbers would come back looking like, but
Well, we're pretty confident, I think, but, you know, I think in that particular question, I mean, I would think you could raise a substantial number of hundred thousands. Whether you could get to 1.5 to 2 million, we don't know. Does that seem like, I mean, we've gotten some unsolicited support to the department, which is really a good thing, but it's only, you know, $4,000 or $5,000,
Sure.
which is a whole different ballgame.
I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I absolutely love and support what you guys are doing. I think it's just incredible. I want to support you everything I can. The question, you're asking really good questions of us. I don't know that I can actually sit here and answer. Right? Mm-hmm. But I can tell you, I feel your passion. I want to support what you're doing. Historically speaking, we've had a board that's been creative in the way we fund things that maybe traditional boards maybe not have done before. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think we would probably need to, I think you're asking the right questions for us. We just need to sit down and figure out what our budget looks like. But from an emotional support, I mean, I think it's great what you guys are doing. And I fully support it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we really,
I will speak to question 3, because I think that really comes through us anyway, as far as personnel. I absolutely could see if we move forward in this journey that we would hire somebody. We know you need support. We know we're going to need new ag teachers and new opportunities if we're going to continue to collaborate with science and art and different, and elementary.
And elementary
our
schools,
middle
yeah.
school program. So as far as the third question, will we recommend to the board to hire a position? Absolutely. I don't think that's going to be a question for us as far as like, oh, will we or won't we? I think the dollar amount, and I'll just speak from where I sit on the superintendent side, and I know my cabinet, as we talk about this, we need help. We need everybody to collaborate together and really figure out what are those next steps. You heard baseball ask for $1 million.
Right.
And we knew that ahead of time. We knew where they were headed and what you were doing. So we just need to collaborate, continue to use our processing skills and our partners.
Yeah.
And I could see this thing, I agree with Brian. We've been creative and we've been able to have some amazing things take place. I think this would be one. Ag is a mainstay of our community. 2009, when I was hired, I actually highlighted that as one of the things when I was coming into the district, and it continues to be. We want to see it sustained. We want you to stay forever, but we know it's realistic that somebody will come in a different time. We need them to embrace the same journey, because if they don't, you've just built a $2 million facility, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, that's really nice out there, but what can we use it for? We need it to stay ag.
Right.
And so that would be the thing we need to make sure that we continue to collaborate on. But question 3, we can support that.
And your question about can we fundraise? So what does she need from us to be able to do that?
Yeah.
A thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
So,
2 of them.
yeah.
Cool.
Fundraise $1.5 million.
We got it.
Okay,
I'll be back.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Next month.
Well, I just want a reminder, if anyone's writing a check, please get it to the board. So we need the sponsorship thing really is, it's a new venture for us. We've had this policy, Roger, before I got here on the sponsorships. We've never really used it. I remember one time we had someone come and want to put labels on trash cans. Remember, I don't know if you remember that
No, I
presentation.
do remember that.
And the board's like, I'm not sure, because it really didn't fit kind of the mission and
Yeah.
vision of us. So just make sure when you're going out to talk to your business partners, that we get a list, and then we get the thumbs up to them, so they understand the partnership and our requirements.
So it should really be a commitment we ask for. Before, and then we come to you with permission to
Yes.
Yeah.
collect.
Yeah,
Okay.
Roger.
And I think it goes without saying that as you fundraise, be careful, in my opinion, not to sell the ultimate product of 2 buildings and 9 acres under crops as a reason to donate.
Yeah.
I think you need to be transparent with your donors. You certainly need funding, no matter what you do out there, if you're
Right.
going to continue to do anything. You certainly can share with them your ultimate goal,
Right.
but don't try and sell the project on this is going to happen, this is what you're giving money for, this is what you're going to see at the end,
Gotcha.
because we just don't know.
Right.
So just kind of be careful as you do that. The one thing you don't want to do as an organization is be accused of soliciting money for purposes that you're not really going to fulfill.
Right. That makes sense.
That doesn't help anybody.
Very good.
So that comes back to the board. Would you suggest we solicit money based on the current scope? I mean, it seems like that goes back to that first question. Is it
Yes.
realistic?
Yeah.
The
Certainly
ag
does.
committee that Christy, Jeff, I think Steve or Scott sits on, that's the group you'll first run it through.
Perfect.
Okay? Because Christy represents the board on that journey.
Perfect.
Same as like Andy represents the board on the athletic council. So when you talk about the partnerships, you'll get into Mr. Ahaus, to Mrs. Ott, Mr. Sewell. That group will say yes, and then Christy will then bring it back and say, hey, here's what they're talking about now. And then we'd have a formal, yes, we accept that, and move forward. Okay?
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
Thank you
You
guys
guys
so
are awesome.
much for your
And
time.
it's always so delightful when you come. You're the best guest we have. And I'm being dead serious. I have no money for you, but I really like when you come and talk. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
So, Ryan, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say.
Great job, everyone.
Yeah,
It's all right.
all right. So we will move on to the last superintendent report, and that would be the Franklin Education Grant Cycle with Mr. Greg Moore.
Well, good evening. Before I start with my report, the conversations about the baseball facilities remind me of something interesting. 42 years ago, I was a freshman at this high school, and in PE class, our teacher was Noel Heminger. Our baseball coach was Noel Heminger, and if the weather was anything like today or better, our activities for PE would be to go out to the baseball diamond just to the north here and pick up rocks and trash and weed. And I'm really amazed, at that time it was an all-dirt infield, how many rocks would rise to the surface. So I guess I'm here as a conscripted servant to ask for back wages. That's all right. Actually, I'm here to give you money and not ask for money, so maybe this will be good. So, Madam President, my name is Greg Moore, and I'm a member of the Franklin Education Connection
Nice to meet you.
Board of Directors. So, as such, it's my pleasure to announce the grant recipients for 2021-2022. There were 18 applications. All were partially or fully funded, totaling $16,864. It was a range from $95 to $9,000, with a median donation of $517.50. So I've got 3 pages here, but in the interest of time, I'll kind of condense what it says, but give you the names of the projects and the recipients by school. So Needham Elementary, Jill Snyder pumping up phonics with poppets for $200. Also from Needham, Melissa Moore, Which Came First. That's an agricultural education grant for $160.49. We had one from Union Elementary, Andrea Clendening, Creative Writing with Legos for $177.84. At the high school, I about said here at the high school, but it's changed. Jeff Carnes, a white lab coat ceremony, funded for $250. Also at the high school, Tara Hurst, digital drawing set, $9,000. So that one was fully funded. A little more detail since that represents over half of the grant funding. Hardware and software that will allow digital arts students the opportunity to create instant collaborative opportunities while greatly increasing their ability to create content with real value and working with the same equipment for productive careers once they graduate. At CBIS, Amanda Ramey received $600 for recess and a classroom community building. Page 2. Also at CBIS, Amanda Ray participating with Pear Deck, $150. That is classroom discussion and practicing math anonymously without fear of getting the answers wrong. CBIS, Christy Bayless, empowering students writing using mentor text, fully funded at $242. Also at CBIS, Libby Findley, and we all love the name of this, the Custer Bakery. So $1,200 fully funded for a baking club at the school. Then finally from CBIS, Renee Boshiers, sensing our way through 2021, a $700 grant, allowing sensory-related items to help reduce stress and anxiety. Moving on to Creekside, Megan Fasig, tactile teaching, $95. Also Creekside, Alicia Sherry, cup stacking for success. So that's something for hand-eye coordination, ambidexterity, and concentration skills. Final page, Creekside as well, Stephanie Dunn, light up reading, partially funded for 200 flashlight donations, increasing reading stamina by lighting up. Creekside as well, Alyssa Hall, a high-low library for 314, helping struggling readers get over the anxiety with book selections, fourth grade emphasis there. Moving on to Webb Elementary, Jody Bridges, Book Building 101, $750, brings the concept of goods and services and jobs to life for second graders, also getting new books into their hands as well. With Webb also, we had Jody Bridges, Momentous Learning, funded for fully at $435, enhanced lessons in writing, science, reading, and technology for second graders. And then moving to this building, Monica Anderson, counselor here, fully funded $720 through a new lens, guided counseling support for journaling and teaching students with coping strategies through the written arts. And then finally, our 18th grant, Zach Stevenson for FCMS Sensory Initiative, partially funded at $700 to create a special education sensory room, a safe place for students to take a break from the stresses of the day. So it's our pleasure to deliver those, and hopefully as the endowment grows and the applications come in, we'll be able to report even more funds next year. Thank you very much for your time.
I think you missed one also. There was one at Northwood. That wasn't on the list.
Oh, it wasn't on the list?
It was Gina Boardman got the Northwood grant, and I can't remember what it was for, but I wanted to make sure every building was represented.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I noticed that was the one school that didn't have
Yeah,
a grant represented. So they did get that?
They did.
Okay.
At least I was there to give her the big check, so.
Okay. That's great. It must have come out of your funds. I don't see it here.
Maybe it did. Maybe it was my big check and I
It's very
didn't
nice of
know.
you, Madam President.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
It was nice to meet you. Okay, so from there, we're going to move to action items. Do we have any public comments? No public comments on our action items, okay. So the first one is on cybersecurity with Mr. Sprout.
To provide a quick update on our cybersecurity endeavors, we have made progress on our managed detection and response program, and that was last board meeting. You approved that so that we can continue to be able to apply for our cybersecurity insurance. These are all requirements by the insurance company so that we can actually gather the insurance. Today I'm going to request approval to team up with Network Solutions Incorporated They are new to our team. We haven't bought anything from them, but with their focus on cybersecurity and their ability to negotiate a great price for Franklin Community Schools, I would request that we team up with them and add them to our list of vendors and procure Cisco Duo for the price of $15,928.24.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, Ryan, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Becky seconds, and so we will vote. Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you. And then next on the agenda, or the action item, is the Media Center update. Is that Dr. Warland?
Yes.
Okay.
Here you go.
Thank you. I'm going to very quickly give the board an update as to how we've arrived at this recommendation. You will see the recommendation from the committee attached to the board agenda. As you most likely know, late in December of 2021, very late before the break, a group of community members submitted 5 books. They are the first 5 books that we've had submitted through policy 9130. When that submission was received, Superintendent Dr. David Clendening formulated the Library Book Review Committee in accordance with that policy. The committee was comprised of a parent, administrator, board member, and our district media specialist. The committee met twice. On January 5th was one of the meetings, January 24th was the other. The reason for those 2 meetings was with the submission of the 5 books, the members of the committee read the books. And so every book was read by 2, in some cases 3 or 4 individuals of that committee, so the committee could make an educated decision about the requests. All 5 requests were submitted questioning pornography. So just to be clear as to what the committee was focused on. The 5 books submitted are located in the Franklin Community Schools libraries. None of the 5 are required readings for a course. They are all books that exist in the library for students to check out if they so choose. As a reminder, student library information is considered part of a student's record, so it is protected under FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. But of course, parents and guardians have access to that information, as they do all other student records. However, that also means that without a legitimate educational interest or a need to know, other individuals don't have access to that information. So I want to make sure that that's clear.
You're saying access to what kids, and it's what kids checked out at the library?
As part of that, yes, Ryan, educational record, yes, that's protected under that Privacy Act. So as a result, the committee has recommended as part of the procedures in the library, at the high school library, that we have a labeling process for mature themes. The librarian is already working on organizing books by genre. We're really trying to find ways to communicate to students what's in the library. So we're looking at new ways to display books, encourage reading. Is it a mystery novel or a fantasy novel, or what might the case be? One of the 5 books was already deselected per our normal procedures for the district. So if a book has been purchased and there's minimal student interest, it's been checked out 3 times in the past 5 years, or if the book is falling apart. So one of the 5 books, the pages were falling out of the book, the binding was broken, the pages were ripped. It was deselected per our normal procedures and guidelines. The 5th book is the book we're bringing before you and recommending that it be removed from our shelves. And you will see that rationale there attached to the agenda. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have those at this time. It was the one that, based upon the request for the committee, the Library Book Review Committee could understand how an argument could be made.
And you were on it and Chrissy was on it?
Correct.
Any questions? Brian, okay, so we have a first and second. Brian, how do you vote? Becky? Andy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and I vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank you for doing
I
that.
had to
That was a
vote
lot
too,
of
I
time.
forgot. Okay, so then our next action.
Before you
Yeah.
move on, another part of our policy required that I submit back to the requesting party the action steps that we are taking tonight. So the committee that actually did meet to recommend the 5 books, they did receive this ahead of time, and they know that they recommended to remove this book in accordance with our 9130 policy, so they were notified.
And did you get any comments back from them at all?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the process, and thank you. Only twice in 5 years anyone read it.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the request to move appropriation for bus payment. I guess that would be,
So as one of my colleagues pointed out, it wouldn't be a complete board meeting until I talked about school buses, right? So here I am. I am requesting that the board approve to transfer appropriation to different accounts. And the reason for that is we budgeted in a purchasing account number, and we've now gone into a leasing agreement, so I need that to be in principal and interest accounts instead.
okay. Sounds good. Any questions?
I move to approve that.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I second.
He seconded.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Andy. Okay, so Brian, how do you
Yes.
vote? Becky?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Tina. And we're going to move on. The last item, action item, is the Victory Field contract, which Mr. Doty spoke about earlier, so I think we could just go ahead and vote. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, Ryan, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Andy seconds. So Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Andy?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes also. Very good, thank you. So next we will move on to board and administrative comments. Does anybody from the board have a comment about anything? No? Okay, administrative comments?
Yeah, we have several quick administrative comments. I'm going to first pass to Dr. Orland. She'll send it back to me.
Thank you. Just a few things. As you may have noted, we did send out a calendar survey recently from the calendar committee. Christy serves on that committee with us. We will meet again next week. We had 1,052 people respond. And so I just want to thank parents, educators, students for participating in that survey. It was fantastic. So we will start building the 23-24 calendar. So that's exciting. Summer school. Summer school dates for the high school are May 31st through June 30th, May 31st through June 30th. And for K through 8, our elementary and middle school programs, as well as our adaptive sports camp. We will be running that camp again this year. Those dates are July 5th through July 22nd, Tuesdays through Fridays. So just letting the community know, letting the board know, we're excited to start thinking about summer. The last item I have regards March 2nd. March 2nd is the first day that we will administer the SAT as the accountability exam for the high school. It is the current graduating cohort is the last cohort that will sit or has already participated in the I-STEP Plus exam. That day requires a new platform, a new type of testing. There's additional training that we need to participate in. As a result of the training we've had as the school and the district test coordinators, and in conversations with our colleagues from other districts throughout the county, we are hoping and planning to have our freshmen, sophomores, and seniors, the non-testing students that day do virtual learning from home. The testing time for juniors that day is going to be about 4.5 hours. That time would then require the rest of our students at the high school to sit in coach or study hall for that length of time. We think a better use of their time would be for them to be online synchronous, in a synchronous learning space, so it's not e-learning with their teachers. We are hoping to have our counselors and non-classroom teachers administer the assessment to the juniors so that the rest of the teachers can teach that day. We have talked again to the local school districts. Most people are doing this. It requires a change to your lunch schedule, your bell schedule, so on and so forth. So we're hoping it is a recipe for success and that it's a better testing environment for our juniors. I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that.
Thank you.
Just a couple of reminders. Next week, we do meet for a work session on the 24th. Originally, it was going to be at Ivy Tech. We need to move that to Franklin College at the Deeds Center. Time frame will still remain the same. We will have lunch catered by Franklin College on that time frame. Ms. Gross will get all of the details to you in your packet later this week, by Thursday, for you to review, and then we'll begin promptly at 8:30, 9 o'clock with the schedule and be done by about 4 o'clock. So it's going to be a full day. Additionally, we are working with Mrs. Betts and Mrs. Ott to do So You Want to Be a School Board Member seminar. We did this kind of pre-COVID when we do have seats that come up for the normal election cycle, and so we will have that. Needham Elementary will be hosting this site for us. The date is kind of to be determined. And as we travel forward, it'll be open to anybody that wants to come and listen about what is the role of a school board member as we travel forward. And also to go over the timeline. The school board member timeline is different than the remaining elected officials because they've already had to register to submit for an application. School board members do not have to do it until July. And so we'll go through that process and the steps required for the 2 seats that are up. And just to give information to everybody, so Mrs. Ott and myself will be co-facilitating that seminar. So I want to make everybody sure that they're aware of that.
Okay. And that goes with the calendar as well. So next is public comments. Do we have no public comments? Okay. On that, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for coming. Have a good evening.